So after it's been a couple weeks since the newest patch to Gwent, we've seen many things. The meta has been established to mainly Skellige and monsters. John Calvé Nilfgaard disappeared into the wind, and Falstus became a staple leader with the siege support archetype, and it became, in my opinion, the third meta deck to give the meta the rock, paper, scissors kind of thing, where monsters beat Skellige, Skellige beat Northern Realms, and Northern Realms beat monsters. And that is where we begin the main topic of this video, changes, especially with Skellige. And I know that I may get some hate for this video, but it needs to be said. Who likes playing a lot of mirror matches in ranked? No one. Hopefully no one raised their hand. In the high tier, I don't think it's as bad as the mid to low tiers where the same neck deck Axemen variant is running rampant. I mean, I get it. The old if you can't beat them, join them kind of thing, but that's where the problems arise. Not all decks are made equal. I realize that each archetype has its own playstyle, but if you don't offer any good variations to archetypes, then players are forced to use only certain ones, and that's what the meta looks like it does now. With that being said, I've never played the Witcher series, something I plan on doing so at some point. I didn't play Gwent until open beta, but Microsoft did send me an invite to the closed beta. I just didn't realize what the game was until a friend of mine talked me into playing the game. But I do have a background in card games. I played very little Magic the Gathering in high school, even littler amount of Pokemon, maybe even had someone teach me the basics of Marvel Versus, if anyone remembers that game. I've collected a few of the Dragon Ball and Digimon cards, but never really got into card games for PvP until I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Total time, I think I played about 15 years of Yu-Gi-Oh! I've seen all kinds of metas being played. Unlike Gwent, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a ban list. The list itself has 3 tiers. You have banned, meaning the card cannot be played in a deck at all. Limited, meaning only 1 copy can be played. And semi-limited, meaning 2 copies can be played. The list used to occur about 3 to 4 times a year, I think. Then they ended up changing it to like twice a year. I haven't played the game itself in about two years now, so I'm not sure what changes they made to that. But I do believe, if I remember correctly, they did change the time frame for the ban list. But anyways, that's a topic for another time. So for example, if you took the game of Gwent and you give it to the format of Yu-Gi-Oh! And you let the cards be used in like an actual tournament and stuff, and if they saw that Skellige and monsters were the only real meta, the ban list would hit, and it would hit these decks pretty hard, because no one, well, at least for in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh!, they always try to give the decks more of a balance, whereas, you know, it's not as rock paper scissory as Gwent is now, but but they would try to do something that would make the game more healthy, where everyone has a shot at topping a tournament, winning worlds, stuff like that. So for example, for playability balance, what they would do is, for the banned part of the list, they would probably ban Frost, Succubus, and Renew. For limited, where you can only use one, they would put Savage Bear, Selena Harpy, and then for semi-limited, where you can use 2, they would probably put like Necker and Axemen, just as an example of what would happen. But I'm glad that Gwent doesn't have a ban list, but CDPR, or CD Projekt Red, for you newcomers, the company behind the game of Gwent, does strive to make changes to help balance the game. So let's take a look at some changes I think the game needs. Just like our best of series, we will go through each faction and take a look at what is hurting the game, what can strengthen the factions, what can change to make the game more balanced. Before we begin, I just want to point out one clear thing here. All of this is just my opinion, and my opinion may be different from yours. However, that is no excuse to bombard me with negativity. If your changes are different than mine, let me know down in the comments below, but please no toxic banter. I'm making this video is just to bring in the community something that needs to be addressed, that needs to be talked about, what we can do to make the game a bit more fun, where it's not just playing, oh, I'm going to play ranked ladder today, can't wait to play against 12 Skellige decks and maybe 1 Northern Realms deck, you know. So it's like, we need something to happen to make the game a little bit more fun. So that's what I'm trying to do with this video, is just talk about what we can do to make the game better. And starting with the neutral faction, we see the main card used in almost all decks across the ladder, and that is Renew. Renew gives you the ability to res any gold from either graveyard, and that is the problem with this card. Some say that it's the resing of the gold that is the problem. For myself, I think that being able to res your opponent's card is where it becomes the actual problem. So for me, I would keep the effect as being able to resurrect gold cards, but only your own gold cards, which does give the card just proactive abilities, which is just as bad. But if we were to change it to, say, rezzing silver cards, then Skellige, among a few other factions, will be able to capitalize on that even more than so now, because you're looking at something like being able to res this Drifa, and that's bad. So I feel the only positive choice we have with Renew is just to limit the gold res to your own graveyard. For buffing changes, I think Regis, the original one, needs to have a better effect. It says after 2 turns, at the start of your turn, boost self by 7 if you're winning a round. And more times than not, if you're playing against your opponent and they have this card, you're gonna, by the time the turn counter effect happens, like, you're gonna be ahead and they're gonna be losing, so he doesn't gain it all. So I think that's useless, especially like only gaining 7. Like, woo, like, you know, can't contain my excitement here. When you have cards like Kialmar or Tibber that gain even more without having to wait 2 turns, and you know, so that's pretty useless. So I think the card itself needs a buff. I say you can give him a 4 strength, making him like a 12, but take away the counter and just have him gain 4 on deploy if, say, winning a round or something like that, just to make it where he's automatically of use. If you're winning a round, you can go ahead and capitalize on that. Especially in like a round 3, he can be used as like a finisher. So if you're down by even 1 point, or excuse me, ahead by 1 point or something, you can kind of lock the win by playing a 12 strength gold, you know. So I think that he needs a buff like that to make it more viable. And the next card is actually going to be a bronze card, and it's the most talked about weather card of them all. And well, it's really just, it's not just white frost, it could be biting frost, but frost in general needs to be addressed. And I think that frost needs to be changed, plain out, because being able to damage by 1 on a row every turn is extreme, especially the way it is now with the Axeman deck, where Axeman is just able to capitalize on that gain. It's really, really toxic for the game right now. And we've heard rumors of the effect being changed to hitting the highest and the lowest, but I think frost needs to be more like the actual weather condition, where if you have an ice cube tray and you fill it with water and you put it in the freezer, it takes time before it actually turns into ice. So I think for this weather effect, if you were to put like a 1 to 2 round timer on it, where it doesn't do anything at first, so it's like the same thing as the water in the ice tray, it's slowly cooling and becoming solid. So then after the timer ends, it will do the same effect as it does now, where it damages on the row by 1, but it gives the opponent a couple turns to be able to address the issue of resolving the weather or stopping it, or, you know, it gives them time to do something before the weather hits. That's just what I would take on it. I mean, you could just say, why don't just clear the weather outright with First Light or the like Blue Stripe Scout for Northern Realms, where they can just play it. I mean, you don't always have that effect out, and then when you have cards like Aeromancy and etc., where you're able to basically copy it and play more, like, then it becomes, it's still a problem at that point. Like, you can play in the Axeman deck, they run 3 Frost, Aeromancy, and White Frost, so it's like basically they have 5, so you only have 3. Most people only have 3 weather clears in their deck. Once you run out of that, then you're screwed. So, yeah, I think a timer would be healthy to it, but let me know what you guys think about that down in the comments below. But that's all the changes I would say for the neutral cards. Let's move over to monsters. Now with monsters, the weather archetype is the most dominant, but Consume does have the potential to be just as good. However, Wild Hunt seems to be the worst of them all, and that's where I think the changes need to happen. Now Aridin is a great leader, and as he has the potential to spawn things like any Wild Hunt card, so that's pretty good. I think he stays like he is. Wild Hunt Warrior, I think he needs to change from damaging a unit by 3 and boosting by 2. I just think he just needs to be boosted by 3. So if he damages by 3 and it's destroyed, boost by 3. There's nothing wrong with having an 8th strength card on the field. There's worse cards. You got Nilfgaardian Knight, who's a 10, you know, so I think changing him to 8 would, you know, just buffing it by 1 wouldn't be too much of an impact, but it'd be something good for that archetype. And as I stated in my previous video, I think Succubus needs to lose her loyalty tag. I think if you're going to be a disloyal unit, you should just be a disloyal unit. Like, there's no reason for you to be able to play a disloyal unit on your row as a loyal unit. I think it's stupid. So I just think, to be more fair, like, if you're going to run this goal, like, if you're going to run this with the intention of putting it on my field, then it needs to just be put on my field. You know what I'm saying? So I think that needs to go. And then going back to the Wild Hunt archetype, we have the Wild Hunt Rider, which he does have a problem with the trio effect. If you were able to bring out 3 of these and then you added in a 4th one on the field, then the trio effect abruptly stops. I think it's just a bug or something, so that needs to be fixed. But regardless, I do like the resilience that the unit has. It kind of reminds me of the Mahakam Guard. Or I think that's what his name was. The little level 6 guy, when he comes out, he's resilient. I think that resilience is a cool kind of ability with the game of Gwent. I like that, being able to stay on the field for at least 2 rounds. Now, let's see. I would say I would give this unit resilience on deploy, just like the Mahakam Guard, and make the trio work regardless of how many are on that road. That's pretty much the only changes I would think, and you know, that's really it right there. Just make it a little bit more usable. So giving him resilience, regardless if you're losing, just being able to play it and have resilience, I think is pretty cool. Alright, so going to the silvers, we have Catachan. Catachan, I think, needs to be changed to where it only consumes a unit from your graveyard, and just leave Regis the Higher Vampire to be able to consume from either graveyard. That way it separates the gold from the silver, because if a silver card should not have as much power as a gold card, in my opinion. Otherwise, what's the point of it being a silver or gold card? You know what I mean? And then lastly, it'd be a gold card we're going to talk about, and that is Old Spear Tip. I think Old Spear Tip needs to be able to, for his asleep effect where he's boosting, I think he should boost units by 2 as well as be able to damage by 2 when he's awake. So I just think that's a little bit more fair. He'll probably see more use if he's able to boost units by 2 as well. But that's it for the monsters factions. Let's go take a look at Nilfgaard. Like Sunrise and Sunset, we've seen this faction go from the best to a shell of what it was, and like some players, I agree when they say the faction is by no means bad. Players just got hurt from Calvé being more balanced, and they became turncoats and betrayed the Empire. Speaking of Calvé, I would actually have him changed back to a 4 strength. Like, there was no reason for him to go to a 3 strength. I think him being 4 was fine. It was just the tempo play with the golems that was a problem. So I think giving him back his 4 strength would actually not hurt at all. In addition to what the problem of his effect is and I'll kind of cover Northern Realms right here with Dandelion, since he's not on my list of things that need to be changed. Except now that I bring in Calvé up, he kind of falls along the same lines. Is that both Calvé and Dandelion have the chance of giving you the option of seeing what you have, picking a card with Calvé, or buffing cards with Dandelion, but you get to see what's on the top of your deck, so you know what you're going to draw in the next couple rounds. I think that both cards should have the shuffle effect added to them, so when you're looking at it, to be more fair and keep it more RNG based. And as some people say, there's no RNG in Gwent, but for balance sake, then I would say give shuffling to buff these cards, not back to it. They need to have shuffling, so that way when you're looking at the cards, or when you're boosting the units, you get to see what you can boost or what you get to pick from. But after that, it shuffles, so you don't get to capitalize on knowing what you're going to draw. So that keeps it more fair. But that's the changes I have for the Calvé and Dandelion. Let's see. next on our list, we have Ox. Let's go to him. Okay, so I have a problem with this card. I don't mind lock cards because I see the purpose of them for control decks and things like that. The problem with Ox I see is him being able to lock 2 cards. And that's why I call him Pseudo-Radovid. Radovid is a leader, so it makes sense for him to be able to lock 2 cards. This card should not be able to lock 2 cards, in my opinion. So I actually have a couple options for Ox. And it's either let him keep 2 locks, and instead of damaging, have him reveal a card, which kind of goes with the reveal archetype, the more dominant archetype in this meta. Or you have him lock 1 target and then basically give him the ability to damage a row by a certain amount of damage. Kind of like the Lacerate. Okay, so like give him a Lacerate effect where he can damage a row by 3. It doesn't have to necessarily be 3. It could be 1, could be 2. But, just to make it where give him either 1 lock and do damage like that, or give him 2 locks and reveal a card. I think either one would be good. I just don't think he should be able to lock 2 cards and then do damage, because then that's just overpowered for a silver card. But again, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you think that either one of those effects is busted more than it is now, let me know. If you have a different variation of that, then yeah, let me know as that as well. That's what we're here for, to discuss things. And lastly, for Nilfgaard, the card that I think needs to be changed the most is Letho. Now, again, with the whole with Succubus being loyal, disloyal, I think he also needs to lose his loyalty tag and just be a disloyal unit, because that's basically what his purpose is for, is to do that. I don't think it's fair that there's a variant that goes around that utilizes his effect with they'll buff up a unit, 2 units, give them resilience, go in the next round, and just bam, Letho on their own board, and you got to deal with 120 strength gold, and that's insane. So yeah, I don't think he needs to be. It's obvious that he needs to lose his loyalty tag. The changes that I have for him, I think. Okay, so I had a couple things that like a multiple choice of what we could do. Seeing how right now he crushes the dreams of your opponent when he banishes 4 cards. So that's when you banish things in Gwent, you do not get them back. There is no way for you to get it back. You can't res anything is banished currently at the making of this video, in case they ever do, and before they change it where you can res a banished card. So I say either we can keep the banishment but only do 1 card per side, so basically a total of 2 cards instead of 4. So it does give cards like, or factions like Queensguard and Northern Realms, anything that stacks in a row, the ability to somewhat continue. They are hurt, which is it's a gold card, it's supposed to hurt. So, but it's not as busted as 4 cards, because when you take away 4 cards from your opponent, basically all the Queensguards, you basically tell that Skellige player, piss off, you lose. So I think doing 2 cards instead of 4 and keep the banishment, or have him destroy 4 targets where they go to the graveyard, and then change his base value to 1, because that way you're not giving a 7 strength card to him, so he doesn't boost himself. So he'll destroy the units and then go to 1. So you basically it's a good play still, because like, for example, say all the Queensguards are the same strength, there's 4 of them and they're all strength 5, that's a 20 value. So basically you're getting 20 value by playing Letho like that, or well, 19 technically, because you're gonna play him, he'll kill all the Queensguards, and then he'll go to 1. So then your opponent loses 19 strength. Way more fair than what he is currently. But that's all I have for the changes for Nilfgaard. Let's move over to Northern Realms. Now, this faction is one of my favorites. I started playing with Northern Realms when I first started playing the game, and I do see the potential this faction has, but currently it relies heavily on neutral cards, and that's a bit of an embarrassment, I think. About half or more of our faction is unusable, in the latter at least. because let's be honest, the effects are terrible. And John Talis, I am looking at you. So we'll probably spend a little bit more time on this faction, starting with the leaders. Henselt and Falsist, I think, are in good places, although I say make Henselt a 3 to 4 strength. Won't hurt too much. You can keep him at 2, but it just says being a little picky, because he is the lowest of the leaders in terms of strength. So I think maybe just a slight boost to 3 or 4 won't hurt anything too much. But that's just my opinion. But it's Radovid that I think needs changes. As I've spoken about Radovid in a previous video, we'll go ahead and bring it up again. And it's the fact that he is a gold leader. He locks 2 targets. He damages them by 4. That's great. But he can't target golds. As is, because that follows the main concept of this game. You're not supposed to be able to target golds. But then you have cards like Demeterium Shackles. Or the D-Bomb card, which demotes golds, 1 locks on 1 damage, resets. So it's like he's a gold and he can't even do that. So I think giving him the effect to lock a gold and be able to damage him is something that would help. It would definitely give the control archetype a bit more viability, and I would definitely like to see more of that archetype being played. But let's move on. Let's see. Next on our list. Ah, okay. It's these 2 useless cards here. Lubberkin and Botchling. Now, currently, the way the effect's worded, it says boost all Lubberkins or boost all Botchlings, making it seem like you can run more of them one. But in the game of Gwent, you can only run 1 max copy of a silver card in a deck. So you can only use 1 Botchling and 1 Lubberkin respectively, and so that makes their effect not make much sense. And I think their effect is useless because it doesn't do anything for Northern Realms. Like, nothing about their effect helps any other card other than themselves, and I think that's pointless to have in a faction. So my changes actually would be to have him resemble like the original Yennefer the Conjurer, I think is what her name was, where the one that spawns like the unicorn and then the Chironex. It's kind of like that, or like the Animal Tamer card. And basically you can have like Lubberkin can boost all the units on your board by 1, and then you can have Botchling damage all units on your opponent's board by 1. So it gives the card some synergy with the rest of the faction, as most of the bronze units in Northern Realms have a low base strength and rely on boosting. Next we have Vest, the best premium in the game. With her, I think she should be like a Roach or Saskia, and she should be summoned when a leader is played, or you can probably do it as when a gold is played as well. Sort of like Roach, but then you can do it like either which way it works, where she's basically just has the order to summon when a gold or leader is played. I think that'll have a bit more synergy rather than just a trio, because there aren't too many trios that we actually do currently with Northern Realms. Like we started off doing the Reaver Hunter trio, and that was busted. Now it's a little bit more balanced. So there's not really too many Reaver Hunters being played right now. It's really the Machines archetype that's been seeing much play, and I do like that. But I think just changing her to where she can be summoned when a gold unit is played is a little bit more better. Trollololo, I think he needs to be changed to a base strength 9 or 10, and instead of gaining 5 armor, I think he just needs to gain like 1 or 2. So I think just kind of giving him that. Other than that, keeping his effect the same, like the trio can still just give him a little bit more strength, base strength, and less armor. Now, Priscilla, it says every turn at the end of your turn, boost a random ally by 3. After this unit, boost 4 allies without leaving the board shuffled back. I think her effect is fine, just take away the shuffle. Keep her on the field, because once she leaves the field, you lose 5 strength, and that's bad. So I think keeping her on the board, keep everything the same, except she doesn't leave the field, and I think that'll be fine. Alright, next up is Vernon Roach. With Vernon Roach, I think he should be able to do his effect twice. technically 3 times, like, because he basically gets to repeat his deployability where it says 1 time only. I think you need to take that away and be able to do it twice. So essentially, be able to get out 3 blue striped commandos, I think, will be more beneficial. And then scoia'tael. Since we already talked about Dandelion with Calvé, Natalis will be our last card to talk about. He was originally a 10, and he had the effect like he does now, but then he had some stupid effort effect that was pointless. I'm glad they took it away, because I felt like the effect of effort itself, I think, kills a lot of cards. Hopefully they take that away. But with that being said, scoia'tael, I think he's worthless right now. No one uses him. So I think first things first, give him back the base strength 10, because Northern Realms has the weakest golds. Like, not counting Bloody Baron, if you're able to get him up high, like, he may be the only exception. But scoia'tael, I think, should go back to a base strength 10. Because you got cards like Hjalmar and Tibber, respectively, that are, boom, they easily strong in their own right. They're able to come out and just be a 23, or be a 15 that can be a 25. And, like, I'm not saying that every faction needs to have a card like that. I just think it's more fair that you can't have a faction just have shitty golds, Excuse my language there. But with scoia'tael, I think once per turn, his effect needs to be changed. Once per turn, he gives armor to every non-gold unit on the board to help the armor archetype. I think that's more than fair, and it helps Northern Realms combat weather, because I think out of all the factions, when it comes to weather, Northern Realms has the best hard counter for it because of armor. Because weather effects don't ignore armor, and I'm glad they don't. I don't think I don't think any effect other than machines, and possibly a card we'll discuss later, needs to ignore armor. So I think with Northern Realms being able to have armor, once they lose the armor, there's nothing that gives it back, and that's kind of downside to that. Like, we're able to give the armor on deploy, but once the armor is there and it's been taken away with weather or by enemy units damaging us, etc., like, there's nothing that gives the armor back, and armor is what kind of keeps that archetype alive. So I think giving us the chance to recycle armor on a unit is great. So that'd be my choice, is giving him 10 strength. So make him awesome to use. Make him that in auto include in any Northern Realms deck. It's something that we need. So giving him 10 strength, and then every turn he's able to boost up one armor on any non-gold unit on our board. So I think that's what needs to be changed. And that rounds out the changes for Northern Realms. So let's move to scoia'tael. scoia'tael seems to be a faction of good choices, but nothing solid. Like for dwarves, they have a solid round 1 play, but once that's over, they don't have a finisher. Spell scoia'tael and mulligan respectively. They either mulligan a bunch or play a bunch of spells to power up the Dole Blathana Protector or Vryad Vanguard respectively, but nothing with a consistency. If you can wait out the spells and just hit a Protector or the Vanguard with Mardroim or any reset card, all the time they spent doing all those combos and playing all those cards is in vain. I think that the movement and ambush archetype needs a huge buff, but as someone who I don't play the faction at all. I do apologize. This is one faction that I have not attempted to play at all, and it's just currently I don't want to. I don't think I need to. It's just this faction doesn't play me, so I don't play it. If I did, I probably would play dwarves, because I do like the dwarf archetype. So for this one, I actually don't have many changes. I just think they just need buffs. I just don't know which ones, and I do apologize for that. I'll leave it for you guys. Let me know down in the comments below what changes you would like to see. And finally, let's get to the best faction in the meta currently, and at the making of this video, Skellige, or Skellige, as it said. There are a lot of cards the player base would like to see changed. Most of them seem to be the same thing regarding a few of the cards in the faction. regarding the changes. So let's take a look. And starting with the bronze cards, we have Shield Maiden, and everyone seems to agree if she were to lose the veteran tag, it would make the card a bit more balanced, and I agree. This card is ridiculously good currently, and losing the veteran tag will not impact the card's viability. Like, she'll still be good, just a bit more balanced. And then the second most talked about card in this faction is Savage Bear. And this card to me is like a celebrity because no matter what it does, it's always in the spotlight. And many agree the damage needs to be changed. And basically I came up with two different choices with this card as taking a look at what everyone else is talking about regarding the card. And basically I came to two different agreements. We can either let the card damage both sides of the board and cut his base strength back down to 5. Because 6 is ridiculous in my opinion. Or keep the strength at 6 but make the unit agile and have bears only damage the cards on the road that is on for the other side of the board. So kind of like a weather effect. And I think that's a little bit more better. Because it's a little bit more fair. It's not as OP as it is now. Being able to just damage something on each row. Now going to the silvers, just want to briefly talk about scoia'tael. I think he's the worst card that Skellige has. I think his effect needs to be reworked. What it needs to be reworked, I have no idea. So I'll, again, looking down in the comments below, tell me what you guys think scoia'tael needs to be done. And then as far as other cards that are useless, is the most useless gold in Skellige, and that's Vabjorn. Vabjorn, I think he just needs to be that second part of his effect where it says damage by 2 units that have 2 or less power. Like, take that away and just have him for every turn at the end of your turn damage units on your opponent's row by 2. Like, just do it like that. So basically he's a better unit for Conjurer. Or I think that's who it was. The one that damages the highest units on your opponent's side by 1 at the end of the turn. Like, basically have him do that but better. I think that'll be cool. And then the last card that I'll talk about is just my own personal thing, because I run Northern Realms and we have armor. It's basically have Coral not ignore armor. That's fine if she doesn't. It's just that's what I would choose as my personal thing because my inner Northern Realm saltiness. But that's it for all the changes that I think the game needs itself. That would bring a bit more of a balance to Gwent. Let me know your thoughts down below. Be sure to leave a like as it does support my channel. Have a great day, guys. My name is Beast, and I'll see you in the next one.